Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about The Wages of Fear. And this movie came out in 1953, and it's based off of a book of the same name, and it was remade several years later, that being 1977's Sorcerer. And I have seen Sorcerer. I love that movie a lot. I would totally watch that again, and this is technically the original, although it's based off of a book, so I don't know if you would necessarily call it a remake, simply because it's just an alternative adaptation in a way. I guess technically it is Sorcerer is a remake, but there are similarities for sure. But overall, I do feel as though the experience for both movies is kind of different in a lot of ways. One difference is that this movie is 2.5 hours long, and Sorcerer is closer to 2 hours. And I do prefer Sorcerer overall, mostly because of the pacing, because there are parts of this movie that made me feel a little tired and sleepy, and I was just kind of bored. But overall, I do like this movie more than I don't like it. I do like the music. I do feel as though it was complimentary to the film, and it was well shot throughout. There's one sequence that's really sticking out in my mind in which it was like really well shot, and I do like when we're in the trucks and we're driving and all that stuff. That's when the movie is at its best for me, and I do like how things are being set up in the beginning, and I like the character dynamics, especially once we get to these four main characters driving these trucks. And the story was well handled in this adaptation, and it sets up the stakes and the environment these characters are in pretty well. And once we got to the truck driving scenes, that's when the movie started to get better for me, because before that I was like, okay, you're just setting things up, and you got nothing else, and I was just kind of bored and didn't really take away much from it. And I do appreciate when we got to intense scenes that there was no music. I feel as though that was an effective choice, and there was an explosion later on in this movie, like closer towards the end, that I felt was very effective. And I do like all these challenges that these characters have to get past just to get this stuff transported. It's fun, much like Sorcerer, only probably more safe to do with these actors in comparison. I'm trying not to spoil both this movie and Sorcerer, but it's kind of difficult because a lot of major things that I want to talk about are kind of spoilery. And one detail that I did like was the movie does establish that even a simple puddle can be a challenge for these characters, because you don't want to go too crazy, because if something goes wrong, then your thing is going to explode and you're all going to die. And another thing in comparison to Sorcerer, I do like how different this movie opens in compared to Sorcerer, where in this movie, I don't really consider this a spoiler. In this film, it just opens in all these characters in the same location, whereas Sorcerer opens up with all four of our main characters in different locations around the world. And eventually they go to this one location, and it was like, oh, this is a bit different. I like this. And I will say that I personally have never read the book, so I have no idea which version is more or less accurate to the book. But overall, I did enjoy my time with both films. And I did find it kind of funny that this movie in particular, it had a character named Mario and another character named Luigi. I found that to be kind of funny. But anyways, now I kind of have to get into my negatives with this film. I did mention that I did like what was being set up with these characters, but unfortunately I wasn't really connected to any of them. Like, I just didn't really care about anything that was going on. I liked some of the character dynamics, but unfortunately I just didn't really get enough of it, and it was almost too little too late at many points, and when things were starting to get interesting, we were kind of cut short of it, and I was like, yeah, that was kind of underwhelming. And I did mention that I do like the truck driving scenes, but the scenes that weren't that, I was kind of bored because I wasn't really connected to anything really. And I do also feel as though this movie was too long, and I might have felt it differently had I saw Sorcerer second and not first, because since I've seen Sorcerer first, I was expecting certain things to happen. And while similar things did happen, just with a different approach, I do feel as though that movie, Sorcerer, handled things in a way that engaged me more and just moved along a lot quicker. I just remembered Sorcerer is like basically 2 hours, and this movie is 2.5 hours, literally 30 minutes shorter. And I personally remember Sorcerer having a lot going on. I remember that movie clear as day almost, and a lot of sequences and scenes that happened within it, and just how things were shown visually. And you see characters like actually struggling to get this job done in that movie. And I just remember so much about that movie, and I do feel as though that film also had a lot of things going on, and just it never stopped. Whereas this movie, the sequence of events that I find to be interesting are more kind of spread out, which in ways could be a good thing, so it gives you more time with the characters. But unfortunately with this movie, since I don't connect with the characters, it just kind of made everything feel stretched out and made things feel as though they were dragging on for way too long. And also, the ending for this movie, without spoiling anything, was ineffective for me. Not only did I see it coming, but it just felt unearned for me. And I get what it was kind of going for. I understand that it had some intent behind it, but I just found it to be kind of dumb. So that's about all I have to say about The Wages of Fear. It was a good movie, but it just wasn't amazing to me, unfortunately. And I think I would just rather watch Sorcerer over this movie, because I just find that movie to be a lot more memorable and effective. So do watch this one, but I don't think I'll ever rewatch it again. So with all that being said, I'm going to give The Wages of Fear a 6 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of The Wages of Fear, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Iron Man 3. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.